Hey, what's up everyone? Mace here, and I'm going to be doing another first-person cast today, and it's going to be against a Zerg player today. So last time I had a PvT on Lost Temple, and people said that was really helpful, so I'm going to show you kind of what I like to do against Zerg on Lost Temple as well. I mean, this strategy will pretty much work on almost any map as long as there's a ramp, which is pretty much everything I think except for Kulas Ravine. So yeah, why don't we get into this? So right now you see that we are in the cross position, so I guess I'll just kind of go through and tell you what I was thinking at the time, and just kind of cast the game normally and then kind of put in some feedback as things progress. So yeah, I know he's a Zerg, and I don't like building up my pylon right here because what happens is, if you're fighting against a Bane Zerg, someone who pushes really quick, not all Zerg like to immediately fast expand nowadays. So sometimes you will see people going Zergling and Baneling, and if you have your pylon right here, they could bust through that really easily, so it's very vulnerable. So what I like to do instead is build my gateway right here, and then I'll probably put down my Cybernetics core right there. So that way they can't just bust through a pylon, they'll have to get through, you know, a zealot or something. But I'll talk about that a little bit more as the game progresses. So yeah, so pretty much what you got to think about when you're fighting a Zerg is, are they going immediately fast expansion, or are they going to go for some kind of push? And that's going to affect your build, because you're going to need to know if you can afford to chrono boost out some early units for some harass if they are going to go for a fast expansion, and if they are going to go for some kind of push, you probably don't want to go out with an early harass, or else you're going to lose your units. Especially when you're fighting in a place like this. This rush distance is just so huge, so it's really difficult to get anything good off. And what I like to do is keep my probe here as long as I can. It's a little bit more difficult to scout Zerg. I just kind of like to pretend that I'm leaving and then come back later, because once they get those Zerglings out, I mean, you can't outrun them on creep, and they're just as fast as you on the ground, and they can even attack while they move, so sometimes you'll even lose your probe. So I try to keep my probe out of harm's way as much as I can. So I see that this guy does have a fast expansion right now, but the thing is, unfortunately for me, he is kind of in the cross position, so I am a little bit wary about setting out zealots. Also, this guy's doing a very good job of scouting. He is an experienced Zerg player. He's going to see if I'm going to be chrono boosting out any early units. That's why he's coming back, and he even tried to trick me a little bit, go down the hill and wait for a chrono boost possibly. So that's not, I don't think I choose to yeah, actually, I see the drones away right now, so that's kind of how I try to push this. I don't know if I actually decide to move out on this map or not, but at least I'll be able to deny some more scouting for now. So he's got his hatchery up, and starting to morph in some lings right now, trying to deny my scout since I've just denied his. So I'm going to try to run my probe and try to get him to live at least, because I don't want to lose any units early on. That kind of sucks. So he's got his Overlord here. He probably wasn't expecting a Stalker to come out so soon. I'm not really sure why. I mean, he saw a Cybernetics core, but yeah, I'm going to be able to get an Overlord at least on this push. So if I lose my probe, I mean, I guess no biggie, because I am going to be able to snipe an Overlord, which is pretty nice. So he's undersupplied right now, so that's definitely going to affect him a little bit. And one thing is, if you see a unit that's being chased down by Zerglings, like you just saw right there, send out some help for it. Don't just wait till he comes into your base, because once he comes here, it's going to be a little bit too late. If you send out units while the probe is running, they won't be expecting it, and you'll probably be able to get at least a Zergling. And yeah, another thing against expanding opponents like this, you see that this base right here is really unsaturated. I think I see like maybe 8 drones, and then there's maybe like 8 drones right here. So if you look at it, I'm actually pretty equal on income right now. He's only a little bit ahead. I have more harvesters than he does, so that's just one thing to think about. And another thing is that since Zerg put in so much resources trying to D-up and get this fast hatchery, they're going to have very little ground units to deal with. So I always like to go in with the harass. That's why you saw me kind of chrono boosting out these zealots. So I'm able to pick off a couple of drones, a couple of Zerglings, and hopefully not lose anything of my own. This guy was even nervous about that. He wasn't able to put his spawn crawlers down in a really good spot to deny me any of this kind of harassing. You see right now he's starting to move out. Yeah, so he's starting to move out. Gonna try to deny me some more some more harass there. And I don't want to beg too much here because he probably has a decent amount of Zerglings right now, and I would really hate to lose a Stalker so early, especially against someone who's expanding. You need every single unit you can. Alright, so yeah, this is kind of my anti-Zerg build, and why I build like this is because I was so frustrated every time I would fight a Baneling Zerg that they would start busting through these pylons and busting through a zealot or something. So you see here that I kind of have this nice little choke point for Zerg, and it's actually pretty long. So I have one here, I have one here, and I even have one back here. So in case he is able to bust through here, I can still warp in a zealot or something, and I will still be able to block off pretty well. I always like to get those early sentries as well to try to avoid run-bys. And I keep a probe out here permanently because I'm out on the map right now. If you happen to move in some Zerglings, I have absolutely nothing to defend against. So what I like to do is I like to just build a pylon right here and completely block him off, and then maybe spawn in a sentry and a couple of stalkers, so he won't be able to do that much. And it's a really nice defensive move. It lets me comfortably push out. I know that I'm going to have a better army size than him. I'll rush those warp gates. I even have my proxy pylon. So I'm in a very comfortable spot to harass, and I don't need to worry that much about base defense. Just keep an eye on the minimap as always. So I will just permanently keep this probe here and pretty much use that as like a force field. And it's definitely really worth it. It's helped me a lot in a couple of games. And one thing to notice as a Protoss player, he doesn't have very much D. Sometimes Zerg players will just build 5 spine crawlers right here, and that's really annoying to fight against. But what this guy has done instead, he was worried about he wants to have more Zerglings because I guess he's worried about me overpowering him or trying to get back here, so he might be able to trap better. But where that leaves him vulnerable is that he only has 2 spine crawlers, and stalkers are actually pretty good against buildings. They do 14 damage against armored. So if you are able, you can pretty much just keep running back and forth and snipe those spine crawlers down, have your shields regen, and go for it again, and eventually might even be able to whittle down their defenses. So this is a very good Zerg player. I'm probably not going to be able to get everything down here, but at least I'm going to be able to get some harass. I've killed tons of Zerglings already. I've only really lost a Stalker. I maybe might lose another one there. And once I get another sentry or so, I'm going to be able to completely wall off this side here. So sometimes it's really nice. I'm able to get a full trap here, and I can just trap his entire army and then go ahead and push for the win. So if you're able to get that off, very nice. But this Zerg player is obviously looking out for that. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. Even if he is pushing out like he is with those Zerglings and those Hydras, I'm still going to be able to kill a couple of units every time and whittle away at these spine crawlers. So yeah, now I'm kind of like, okay, I have a good force here. I know that I outmatch him in army composition because he fast expanded. It's going to take him a little bit to catch up. He's finally starting to do so. And so I got to retreat a little bit right here because he is sending tons of Hydrals at me right now. So there goes my Guardian Shield trying to split the force a little bit. And luckily for me, I have this proxy pylon, so more Stalkers are being warped in. And there goes the wall, and I'm able to catch a couple of Hydralists there and a couple more weak ones here. But they are going fast on the creep, so I'm not going to be able to take them all that much at this moment. But yeah, right now I am preparing for the High Templar tech. Another really important reason why I like to do this harass is because it forces the Zerg player to show you what they're making. If I only see Zerglings the entire time right here, I'm like, okay, this guy must be going Mutalisks. In which case, I'll start going a Stargate and maybe even build some Static D. If you are fighting Mutalisks as Protoss, I would definitely recommend getting a Starport, because while Stalkers are good against Mutalisks, they pretty much can overpower Stalkers if the Zerg is able to get enough of them, especially when they fast expand like this. They're going to have a lot of gas. So between Stalker and Phoenix, it's very hard for a Zerg player to deal with that. Also, Phoenixes are really fast. They can chase down weak Mutalisks, and yeah, they're pretty much a muta counter. You're just not going to be able to get enough, so you got to use them in combination with your Stalkers. But I wouldn't recommend Stalker alone against Mutalisks. That's just been my experience. And yeah, so I'm starting to get these High Templar out. I realized that I'm not going to be able to take mass Hydra with just basic infantry. So I have these High Templar here, and I have my Stalkers. Not really getting a lot of Zealots because just plain Zealots are not really that great against spines flying in your face. So he has quite an army right here. I think we are actually pretty even So I am going to back off a little bit and maybe wait for some more units, wait till my expansion starts getting a little bit more saturated. And yeah, here we go. I'm starting to start getting some more production so I can keep warping in on here. And really what's kind of nice is I see everything that he's doing. If he does manage to push out, I'll lose a pylon, but that just gives me that much more time to prepare a defense in case he happens to start overpowering me here and I have to retreat. So I pretty much have full map control on this guy, so it's really nice. There are a couple force fields. I was trying to maybe trap him, but he went the other way, unfortunately for me. But what is nice, if he does, what I was trying to do this game, I remember, I was trying to get him stuck into this corner here, if you can kind of see where my mouse is, and then force field behind, and then plop some storms in his face. So that would be really nice, because bunched up units are always very sexy for storm. So yeah, we are pretty evenly matched right now. I'm not sure if I decide to fully go for this. It looks like that I am, and I'm trying to get some storm. My high tempo are a little bit blocked off, and I am getting pretty outmatched right now. I do manage to get a couple of good storms. That spine crawler is just poking me, and I try to wall off a little bit to try to defend myself, and in case he is trying to pull through, pick up some units like right there. So definitely, if you're pushing, you see right there why you need sentries. If I had done a little better, maybe even blocked him off like half of his army, that would have been even great, but I was able to use it more defensively this time to make sure that I'm still controlling the map right here. So in the meantime, I am always trying to macro up. I think I'm worried about a run by at some point, like he might Knight a Swarm or something like that, or Mutalisk me or whatever, but and forges are also just nice for upgrades, but I do like to have static to usually against Zerg. So yeah, I see this guy bringing out his Zerglings, so at this point I'm like, okay, he is trying to go and snipe my expansion. So in order to prepare for this, what's really nice is that he really doesn't have speed upgrades, so he's just kind of got plain Zerglings. And what I do is I pretty much wait until he starts coming, and then I have a zealot wall here, and I know I'm going to be fine. And yeah, he sees right there that he's not going to be able to take that. That's what I'm talking about. That's the defense right there. I'm glad that this game had it, because it just shows you so beautifully that they are denied entrance into your base. And right now I just use my zealots and probes, and I don't think I lose anything there. Another trick when you're fighting units in your mineral field, try to drag all of your probes onto one patch and then do an attack move, because that will actually surround all the units instead of you fighting like a couple units with 2 or 3 probes at once. It's not as efficient. So what you want to try to do is go on one mineral patch and then attack move them. So yeah, now I have a pretty good force here. I know he only really has Hydralisks, which is really nice. I don't see anything else crazy in production. I'm starting to get charge even, so I have a little bit extra gas, because charge isn't really crucial against this composition, but it does help out later. So I'm finally going to be able to take down this defenses. They are whittled a little bit, and there's a Psystorm, and he is in a pretty good spot for me right now. And yeah, I'm just getting tons of Psystorm on this guy. I don't even really need to use that many force fields, and that's pretty much the end of his army. And another thing that I like to do is while I'm taking an expansion, I will force field here in case he starts to make some Zerglings and somehow manage to beat me, like in case he has some secret force back here. So yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna be it for the game. Yeah, there's the GG right there, and I hope that was helpful for you guys. It shows that, I mean, this is kind of like my strategy in general. I always like to put a lot of pressure on players who expand, because I know that I'm going to be able to put more of my my economy into my army. Their economy is more into their economy, if that makes sense. So I know for at least a little while I'm going to be able to overpower them. At some point they are going to be able to start overpowering me. That might be for like a minute or two until my expansion starts to equalize on theirs. So that's when I have those sentries to and kind of back off a little bit until I feel comfortable again to push. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you guys, and if you had enjoyed this video, then please subscribe so you know when I put up another one. And if you guys have any suggestions for what else you might want to see, I'm constantly playing games and trying to find games that I think will help people out with kind of difficult and tricky tactics, like an economic expanding Zerg. Then yeah, just please let me know what you guys might want to see, and I'll do my best to get that to you. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of Maze Esports.